Hi and welcome to Chord Piano. My name is Mark Deeks and this is the beginner chord sequences free lesson. So far you may have seen elsewhere on the site that I've taken you through how to play a basic chord shape in the right hand with your thumb, middle finger and little finger. And I've also shown you how to begin to combine that with your left hand, just some single notes in the left hand to begin with. But get used to what it feels like to coordinate the two so that your brain gets used to the fact that these are two independent things happening. And also, as I referred to in the previous lesson, you don't actually need to see it in order for that to happen. You need to build your confidence up in that area. So if you haven't already done so, it would be a good opportunity now to pause this video and have a look at those videos before you proceed with this one. What we've got so far in terms of playing those two hands is still something that sounds very much like an exercise rather than a piece of music, which is great and important stage for you to go through, but you may feel that you want something that sounds a little bit more like a song. So what I would suggest is I can introduce you to a few very basic, what we call chord sequences, which just means exactly what it says on the tin. And instead of playing the chords through one after another in the order they appear in what we call a musical key, we dot about a little bit in terms of the chords rather than playing them all in order and play them in a seemingly random order. But of course there are common sequences that get used time and time again in pieces of music. So if we just number these chords, refer to these chords by number for what we've got so far as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of common chord sequences that use these chords. So the first sequence you might hear musicians refer to is a 1-4-2-5. A 1-4-2-5 is a very common sequence, and when you get used to playing this, you may find that it reminds you of one or two pieces of music that you've heard somewhere else. So instead of playing all of the exercises in order, or all of the chords in order, it's something that sounds very much like an exercise. I want you to play the first chord, then chord 4, then chord 2, and chord 5. Notice that whatever note my thumb is playing in my right hand, so in that one that was C, or F, or D, or G, that's the same note that I should have in my left hand. I think this would also be a good time to introduce the words major and minor for some different chord types. There are lots of different chord types that you'll come across as you go through learning to play the instrument. But the two most basic forms of chords that you'll hear musicians refer to constantly are chords called major and minor chords. In very basic terms, most beginner musicians tend to learn that these chords sound either happy or sad, and the major chords are the ones that sound happy, or nice, or pleasant, or whatever you want to refer to it as. And the minor chords tend to be referred to as sounding sad. So it's a good idea to start to get used to what these chords not only sound like, but what they're called. So I would call that first chord C major. It's one of the happy sounding chords, and the note at the bottom of the chord, or what we sometimes refer to as the root note, is C, so I would call that chord C major. Then the F major was chord 4. And the next chord you were playing was the one based on D, and this is one of the sad ones, that's D minor, which has got a D, an F and an A in it. And then the last chord was G major. G, B and D. So you're playing here what's called a 1-4-2-5 in the key of C, which is C major, F major, D minor and G major. Don't worry about if you don't necessarily remember all of these names immediately. You'll come across them time and time again, and as you go through learning to play the piano and elsewhere on the Chord site, if you look at some of the level 1 chord lessons, you'll find these names start to appear more frequently. You can start to get, over a period of time, used to what they're called. So we're just going to focus on playing this basic chord sequence, a 1-4-2-5. Remember, as I've said before, speed isn't important. you can take as long as you like. But what I would suggest you do when you're playing these exercises or these sequences is you give your music a pulse, which means that you could tap your foot, or you can nod your head to it, or you just count out loud, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and hold each chord for 4 beats each, and then perhaps 2 beats each, and see if you can get your reaction times down moving from one chord to the next. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as with many sequences and songs that go round and round, I would suggest that when you practice these exercises, you start the sequence again and go around again. Maybe 2 times or 4 times, however many times you think you need to get used to it with. And as I say, then maybe just go down to 2 beats each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a common sequence, a 1, 4, 2, 5. Another sequence that's quite common is a 4, 2, 5, 1. A 4, 2, 5, 1. That would sound using the same chords like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I would suggest as you get used to this is just mix the chords up in any order you like. There are, of course, as I've introduced you to, some commonly occurring sequences. But when you're getting used to playing 2 hands at once and moving around the piano, throw these chords at yourself in any order you like. It doesn't really matter. It's just getting used to coordinating the 2 hands, the fact that they're doing separate things. One hand's playing chords, one hand's playing single fingers. And as I've said to you before, getting used to building up your confidence so that you actually start to believe that you don't need to see something in order for it to be played right. So pause the video. Good luck with that. If you want to stretch yourself and obviously develop your technique much further, now would be a good time to start looking at some of the songs that you can purchase elsewhere on the Chord site. On Chord Piano, there are beginner tunes and level 1 tunes that apply some of these techniques. So good luck, enjoy yourself, take a time to look around, and we'll see you soon on Chord Piano.